All right, so we're going to go over the skeletons that we have built for you. So right now for the form, we only have inside covers done, and we have them all labeled as sports covers, but they can, of course, be used for other inside things if you guys have special sections. All right, can you guys see that? Can you see the skeletons?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have to talk out loud because this now is blocking my screen. I only have one of my, I only have one monitor because I'm at home today. So this is your skeleton book that's available on our IMOP website. And so this first page just kind of walks through how the skeletons work, what they're named, and then how you list them on your budget. So all of these ones will start with IC to note that they're inside covers. Then the second number is how many story starts there are on them. We have them all organized that way. So you can decide, if you want 4 stories, then you use the 4-story one. And then from there, decide which of the 4-story options you want. And that's what this last number denotes, is which one you want. There's also one that notes that there's an ad on the page for if you have an ad. And then there's one for a vertical photo, if you know in advance that the photo is going to be vertical. And then this is an example of what your budget would look like. So the big thing you'll need to change is at the top of the budget for your sports cover. You'll just need to put the code for the skeleton that you chose. And then when you put your things, instead of saying CP and then, the other things, you'll just put, position 1, centerpiece, position 2. Adding the word centerpiece or rail does help the designers just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But so what you see here is exactly what the designer pulls onto the page when they do theirs. So when you put position 1, when the designer pulls it onto the page, this is labeled as position 1 for them. So it makes it really clear to them which one you're talking about. Just make sure that we're all talking about the same thing from the beginning. One thing to note is if you're pulling content from FNS or like the St. Paul Viking story or whatever, to change the headline, you don't have to create a separate document or anything like that. You would just note the headline that you changed on your budget, and then the designer will copy it over from there. So let me scroll down to a... So say for this day, you wanted 3 stories on the front. So you picked this one. This was the option that you wanted. This information includes what size the headlines should be and what point size you're going to get with that. So if you wanted this to be your top story, but you knew that you wanted the headline to be a little bit bigger than this, then you would know that at 40 points, you can get 39 characters. So you know that if you wanted to go up to, say 50 points, that you'd be knocked down to, more like 30 characters. And we don't expect these are always going to be exact. It can be 38, it can be 40. We've got some wiggle room there. And, we can change the headline size by a couple of points. It's not going to be the end of the world. But this is just to have a starting point to make sure that we are all starting from the same place. This also includes how many words fit on the cover for this story. So you know that if this is a 500-word story, 260 words of it are going to make it on the cover. So you need to set aside jump space for 240 words, or about 10 inches of space. And then the other really important thing that I want to make sure that I mention is that these skeletons are a framework. They're not a template. So, you can say that this is the amount of space that you want set aside, but say that you've got, 4 photos that you'd really like the designer to figure out how to go to get in, or you want them to do more of a photo illustration style type thing, or you don't have a secondary photo, you just have one photo. All of those things can be adjusted. This is just to make sure that we're starting in the same place and then we build from there. So just because this is how this skeleton is set up doesn't mean that this is exactly what your page has to look like and there's no other options. Like for this CP, if you wanted it to go to 2 decks, so you could have 36 total characters, you could absolutely do that. And then just know that, less of this text would be getting on the cover, so that this 315 wouldn't be totally accurate anymore. Does that make sense? All right. What questions do y'all have right away?
I'm just curious how, since there's so many of them, how do you? It's just our choice then, basically. I mean, we're not locked into when we have a ad at the bottom of the page. We're locked into, this certain skeleton or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. So we have multiple options for you that have the ads at the bottom. And how most people started is that first they decide how many stories they want to have on their front page. So, if you know that you've got 4 things that you want to get on your cover, then you can just scroll down to this section that starts with 4 and then only look through those.
Okay. How does this work with our style? Typically, we only have 3 stories on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go 4? I mean, is that?
Yep, you can absolutely go 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we also actually even have. Did Michael make a 5? No, I think he only went up to 4s for you. Yeah. So, or if you had, these 2 stories like regular, and then you had 2 related stories, like you had the Vikings wire story and a McFeely column to go with it. You can use the 4th story, but tell the designer that the bottom 2 are part of a grouped element, and so they should adjust that. Any of that kind of stuff you can do. Like I said, it's just a framework to make sure we're starting from the same place and that we've got our headlines close to where we need them, so that we don't have to go back and forth as much and ask you questions about, we need to change this, or just makes it easier for on your end to be visualizing what you need, and then on our end to make sure that we're giving you what you're thinking of as well. And then the other thing is that, we've built a few different options for you, but if there's a specific design that you would like to have as an option in your skeletons that isn't in here right now, just let us know and we will absolutely build that for you. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious, how much, how adaptable they are within the framework. Say, for instance, we had a story, we had a skeleton with 4 stories across. The bottom right fell through. We'd be able to just strip the headline across and pull the other. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you just need to communicate with the designer. That game got rained out, so just make the other one stretch across, and they'll adjust that on the fly.
Yeah. Okay. How's it been working so far? Have you had people had good luck with it from people that are using them?
Yes. By and large, the properties, once they've started using them, have really liked them and have, pushed for their inside covers to be done as quickly as possible so they could start using them on more things. It makes budgeting easier, especially for the people who don't have page design experience, because they don't, like how many, like this story is 500 words, and what that equals on a page doesn't, translate to people that haven't done pages as much often. So, having that information is really helpful. Being able to write the headline in advance to where it's going to fit, so that you don't have to answer a bunch of questions in Slack. There's definitely a learning curve. The first week or 2 that you're doing it, it's going to make your budgeting process take longer, just because you're figuring it out, and then you got to rewrite your headlines and be thinking about that just in a different way than you probably have before, at least recently, since the Hub's been designing your stuff. But what we see is that once people get comfortable with it, it makes things a lot easier, and your budgeting process goes faster.
Have all the designers basically been working with them now
Yes.
at various points? Okay.
Yes, every designer has been working with them, because we have Wilmer, Mitchell, Brainerd, Duluth, Rochester, Superior, Cloquet, Dickinson, and now your inside covers are using them. So we've got about a third of our papers using them, including most of our dailies using them in some fashion. So every one of our designers is familiar with using these.
Yeah. That sounds good. And now this isn't something we'd use in print though, or can we use them in print?
Yep. Yeah, use them in print. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, they can be used print e-edition because the pages are the same size either way.
Yeah.
So
I haven't talked to Matt about it. Has he indicated when they're gonna start using them?
he has not. No.
But there's no problem if we wanted to start here in the next few days or something like
Oh,
that.
you guys can absolutely start whenever you want.
Okay.
Um,
Sounds good.
you know, it's a little bit late for us to start with tomorrow's print product, but you know, if you want to start doing it tomorrow, that's no problem at all.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'll check with Ben and John on that just because there'll be, you know, especially over the weekend. Now, well, Thomas, I don't know what Thomas is gone. I think is he out there? Is he on vacation or something?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we'll figure it out one way or the other. And maybe I don't know when you want to, you know, get started on it, but maybe like early in the week or something like that. Early next week, work out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds
That
good.
sounds great for us. We've got everything ready to go on our end, so designers can start whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
If you think of any other questions, just let me know and I'll answer them. And like I said, all the designers are very familiar with this. So as you're doing it, if you want to just ask whoever's working on your pages, you know,
Yeah.
I set it up like this. Is that what you're looking for on that? And then they can answer those questions in the moment as well.
Yeah. And I was a little distracted. We're finishing up there. What was the, where's the place on IMOP where you can get them?
It's on our IMOP website, which is
Okay.
if you go look at my email signature, there's a link to it.
Oh, okay. And they're the same
Design
ones that you
center
emailed
discounts.
us the other day, right? Or that's
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work out good.
And then if we want to use one, do we just note it on like the print budget?
Yep.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yep. Yeah. So you just put IC.3.2 and then, you know that you're working on that one and the designer will pull that one as their framework onto the page.
Cool. Easy enough.
And then, like I said, you know, whatever modifications you want to make to it, you know, just note those on your budget as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, do this, but add another photo. Or
Yeah. Are you finding places are kind of locking into like a 3-4 that they use pretty regularly, or is there?
some sites are doing that, that it's kind of that they're like, this is the one that we really like and we're comfortable with. So we're going to use mostly like these two. And some sites are really making use of the whole range of what they've got. So,
Yeah. Okay. Looks good. Any other questions for you guys?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Great.
like I said, just let me know if you have any questions or anything comes up. I am available. So,
We'll do
Yeah.
it.
We'll
Alrighty.
keep you guys afterwards and then figure out what they want to do. So